this morning and talk a little bit about what people mean when they say you need to start accommodating for yourself as a divergent individual. You're going to hear me talk about that a lot, about asking for accommodations, about accommodating yourself, about getting accommodations for your children, about providing accommodations for your children. Because I will tell you, once I started to learn more about my own spiciness and my own divergence, I realized how much the outside world affected me. So, good morning. I'm Emma Smallbone. I'm a forest whisperer, and I'm a healer in my ancestors' traditions. And I live here in Canada, in the country, in Pusslinch, just outside of Toronto. I have autism, and I have ADHD, and I have a sensory processing disorder. And it makes my life incredibly complicated, especially when I accommodate for myself. One thing that most doctors and even therapists aren't going to tell you is being divergent in a world that was created for neurotypicals is traumatizing. And it sounds super dramatic, but when I explain it to you, you will understand. And I'll explain it to you through my own experience, because that's how autistic people share their wisdom. We actually have to experience the thing personally to completely understand it. So I have gone through living as a neurotypical in a neurodivergent body for 48 years. And I'm only just learning how a divergent body needs to live and how we can accommodate for ourselves. And if I had known this at the beginning, my nervous system would be in a much better place and I would be able to heal much faster. And one of the things that really was being on Twitter during my diagnosis and finding autistic Twitter. Well, that little wonderful world kind of came to an end when one of our own destroyed our happy place. And I know it still exists, but I just don't enjoy it as much. So I started thinking about how can I help others? And this is what I'm coming up with. So my divergence allows me to consume an insane amount of information and boil it down to the simplest things and make it consumable for most people to be able to go, okay, Emma, yeah, that's a really big concept. I have no idea what you're talking about, to, oh, thank you for explaining. That's one of my gifts. So what I want people to start to understand about accommodations is nobody is going to lose out if you allow yourself or you allow somebody else accommodations. And here is why. Me wearing my headphones is an accommodation. Me wearing a toque is an accommodation. Me sitting out here on my couch every morning in nature, no matter how cold it gets, is a personal accommodation for me. Every time I do these things for myself, and every time I acknowledge my divergence and how I need to change the way I live to make it easier on my nervous system so I'm not having meltdowns out in the public. I can have meltdowns in my own house and like in a corner of the forest somewhere. It's good for my body to release these things. It's actually incredibly traumatic for us to push all those emotions down when we're masking. And if you don't understand the term masking yet, that just means me going out in the world and acting like a neurotypical. Not wearing my headphones, not wearing my toque all the time, not dressing like it's freezing cold when it's the summer or if it's boiling hot during the winter, because to regulate temperature. So if you have followed me for a while, or if you ever came to one of my events here on my property, you will notice I never wore shoes and I never wore a jacket, no matter how cold it was, because my body knows how to turn off, oh, you're cold. Oh, you're... That was traumatic to my body. My body was stressed out in that moment because it was having to spend all sorts of energy trying to keep me warm because my brain couldn't tell me that I was cold. That's traumatic. When I gave birth to an 11-pound baby, naturally, without any painkillers, because my body learned how to turn off pain, that's traumatic. When you have an auditory processing disorder and you were doing this and trying to like always sit at the back, if you ever hung out with me in college, if you ever went to a show with me, it's actually why I met my husband, because I always sat at the back. I hated being at the front. And a lot of those concerts at where my friends asked me to be at the front and stand by the speakers is one of the reasons that I'm slightly deaf, is because the world to me is incredibly loud. And it's why I have to wear these all the time now, because my ears have been traumatized by a neurotypical world because I didn't realize my body learned how to push that pain away. So when I accommodate for myself, I'm healing my relationship with my body. And my body goes, oh yeah, that is painful. Oh yeah, thanks. Thanks, man. Thanks for giving me safety. And then your body relaxes. The craziness about that is your body then actually starts to feel the pain. And then like right now, I'm having one of those moments where the pain is so bad, it makes me nauseous. And I've just got to sit through it, and I've got to use my CBN to get through these moments of, oh my God, that's really bloody painful, because it's my body realizing, oh, Emma, this is really painful. And then it's me sitting here going, whew. I'm at this new stage. There's many stages of late diagnosis, but I'm at this new stage where you're grieving not being able to feel these things your whole entire life, and realizing that there was probably a lot of experiences that were incredibly painful. And that your body just didn't acknowledge it as pain. And even feeling this wave of nausea now, because I'm actually feeling what pain is a really happy. It seems so crazy, and I'm crying because this is how you heal trauma, is you learn to feel the emotions without letting it overtake you. So when I accommodate for myself and I learn how to feel the pain and I learn how to sit with the waves of pain, my body just relaxes in a way that it's never experienced before. And then you have this massive wave of grief. Because you realize that your whole entire life, your body has never relaxed. And it's never felt this. And the TMJ, oh, the hummingbirds here. I know it's out the front. There, I had all these beans out here last year, so the hummingbirds are looking for them, but we put them out the front. So I have to remember to plant beans for the hummingbirds next year because they keep looking for them. When you realize your body has never fully relaxed and that all of this pain and tension that is in your body wasn't anything to do with anything physically being wrong with you. It had to do with your body was holding on to all of this trauma from living a life that was stressing your body out. And when you realize that that's what you've done to your body your whole entire life, you don't have any other choice but to start to like help it. Because then, oh my God, like right now, as my body releases that tension, because without this, my body won't do it itself. That's the part that is crazy. So I have to learn, and this is the part that's really hard about being divergent, is if you don't seek these things out, your body is just going to get harder and harder and harder to live in. And it's going to get more and more pain filled. And you're going to feel like your body is betraying you. And you're going to feel like, what is going on? I feel like I'm dying. Like when I started perimenopause, it's been perimenopause for me has been going on for almost a decade, unacknowledged. But when the symptoms got so bad, I thought I was dying. I finally had to do something, and that's when I started looking at my body and listening to my body, going to therapy, understanding that it was actually trauma in my body and not necessarily an illness, that trauma was just me living in a neurotypical way, in a neurodivergent body. And I know majority of people can't do what I do. Like, that's the part that I'm at that's really frustrating. And I think that's why I feel so compelled to share this with people. Because how are we going to change this? How are we going to start accommodating for these kids in schools so they can have this peace and calm in their body? because we're forcing people into a system that doesn't work for them, and it's causing physical harm in their bodies. And it's why people are just saying no more. Our bodies can't take it, and our bodies are shutting down, and we're saying, I can't work. Like, I can't work like this. And I honestly do believe that was a lot of the silent quitting from the pandemic. I think a lot of people in the pandemic slowed down enough to realize that their body is just not happy, and holy crap, if I keep doing this to myself, I'm gonna die. And I think that's why we're having so many people get diagnosed, because they're looking for answers. And I think there's so many people in the spiritual community realizing they're divergent, because we all were looking for answers our entire lives. And when you get that diagnosis, it does explain almost everything that we were seeking in spirituality. So it does not surprise me that we are seeking in spirituality, because there are a lot of answers there, but it's not all of the answers. We do have to physically treat ourselves differently, and we have to start looking at our brains differently, because we are divergent. You're forcing your body to live a neurotypical way in a divergent body, and it is causing trauma to your body. And if you look up how a body reacts in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, you will go, oh yes, that is what my body does all day. Oh yes, that is why I apologize incessantly, because I'm fawning all the time. Oh yes, that's why I'm a massive people pleaser. Oh yes, it's why when I'm having my meltdown, I tuck and run and hide. Like, I physically hide behind things when I'm having a meltdown. And I try to make myself small. And I have learned all of this because I have been seeking answers, because no doctor, no clinician, nobody could give me the answers. So I started asking questions in my own community. And when I started getting answers back, and I started implementing some of those things in my daily life, my whole entire life changed. My whole entire life changed because I listened to some advice from people in my own community. And then I implemented it in my life, and I started to heal myself. And my life got significantly better. And I want to share those things with you so your life can get significantly better, like mine did. And I do sit in this place of privilege with the opportunity. I now have funding because I did all of the things to get to this place. So I have an iPad that I can chat with you guys on because of my funding. And I have headphones. I can help you in that process. This is how we get better. Divergence need to heal in community, because we love the hive mind and we love sharing. It's called pebbling. Divergence love to give tidbits of information. We love to share our personal experience. Does any of this sound familiar? So, if you are at any stage of your divergence and you are having ahas, start sharing them. Start doing this with your friends and family who are also divergent. We can help each other heal at an exponential speed if we start sharing these things. Our personal experience is what is going to heal everyone. Because when we heal and we start working in the way that works for us, like I come out here in the mornings and I do this because that is when my brain is at its best. And then in the afternoon, I have to smoke cannabis that helps my brain. And then I can perform at a level that's kind of okay. But I have to get everything important done in the morning, write everything out, because by the afternoon, my brain is not going to be functioning. And I have learnt these things by trial and error and by writing everything down. Oh my God, I am such a note taker and a tracker, and I am going to teach you how to do these things because I sit here every day and do these things to accommodate for myself so I can have a better life, and that I'm regulated more often than that. And that's what we're looking for, divergent thinkers. We're looking to be more regulated so we're not expressing our emotions in an unhealthy way. The key to being a divergent thinker is to express all of those emotions that your body holds on to all day, because we were taught not to express them. Be quiet, don't speak out, you're too loud, don't answer all the questions, don't be big. We learned to stay small and not express all of those things because that's how neurotypicals act. So we have to start acting the way we need to act so we're not harming ourselves or our community by expressing our emotions in an unhealthy way. And I will tell you, when you start to take accountability for how you show up in the world as a divergent thinker, and you go, wait a second, this environment isn't good for me. Let me take myself out of this toxic environment and teach myself how to be divergent, and then just express that with zero guilt, because I am literally causing myself trauma if I don't live a divergent way. So why should we feel guilty about it? Also, every single physical issue I have ever had is going away because I am accommodating for myself. So all of those things that I used to have to, like, be careful, Emma, don't overstimulate yourself, don't do this, don't do that. No, I get to live freely. I get to live less medicated. I get to be my best self all the time because I'm showing up as exactly who I am meant to be. And that is what we were all looking for in spirituality, if you're here for my spirituality years. We were looking to be this fullest expression of our divergent selves. We just didn't realize that's what we were hunting for. It's why so many spiritual people are going, oh my God, I'm neurodivergent. Or I feel connected to divergent thinkers. You are either brought up in a divergent community or a divergent household, and you are a neurotypical that can think divergently, or you're actually neurodivergent and you may want to go get tested and you may want to do what I've done. But you can also just choose to live divergently without a label, without a diagnosis. And you can just say, hey man, this is the way I choose to live. I'm divergent. And the diagnosis really isn't the thing. And I think that's what I want to share with people is you don't have to have a diagnosis to live divergently. Like, yeah, if you want funding to pay for the things, I get that. And that is what I have done because I was taught that you have to have a diagnosis to be taken care of. And it's not true. Like, I went through the process, so I want to help you understand you don't need the diagnosis unless you need funding desperately. If you have a kid that needs one-on-one care, then friggin' chase that diagnosis. And I can share with you how to make that process a lot easier because I don't know how I mastered it, but I'm pretty good at it. And that's what I do. I love systems and I love to learn how to figure them out and how to master them and then boil it down and make it easy. Like I love to do that. And so I'm living divergently and I'm expressing myself divergently. And then for the first time in my life, I'm having like major divergent autistic joy. And why wouldn't you want to share this with anybody else? Because if everybody who is divergent can feel this friggin' happy, why wouldn't you want to share it with the world? Okay, Emma, I hear my therapist's voice. Slow your voice down. this is me being truly divergent. And when I go into that hyperactive state, for me, it's a very verbal state. When I was a medium and I was channeling, that was me being truly divergent. That was me going into my space and just being me. I mean, the outer presence that I showed you was not me. And that was a version that I thought you needed me to be, because I picked up cues from the world that said this is what a medium should look like. So, like, this doesn't really, like, and not that you have to show up any specific way, but as an autistic individual, we get told again and again and again, what you're doing isn't right. Do this. So then when we look at mediums and we scan the world for what mediums should look like, we go, okay, this is what a medium should look like, because the average medium looks like this. This is what my brain does. This is what my brain was taught to do because I lived in a neurotypical world. I'm hypervigilant. A, because of trauma, and B, because I'm constantly scanning the environment to figure out, how do I fit in? Oh, okay, everybody's talking super chill in this. It's why I get along with everybody. So if this makes sense to you, you may want to kind of start to look at how you live in the world and how you go about being in the world. And then start accommodating for yourself. And what can that mean? Like I said, headphones. I'm also out here. I have to be outside a lot. I really need to connect with nature and connect with trees. And if you don't know, I'm a tree whisperer. So I talk to trees. So it's absolutely miserable. So we have like a literal wall of windows in my house, so I can just sit and stare at them in the winter. And I never really realized before that that was me accommodating for myself. But now I do. Lots and lots of blankets and pillows. I need it to be soft and squishy out here. I need it to be cozy. The blankets are also because I can't regulate my own temperature. And in about 5 minutes, I'm going to have to go in because I will have to warm up. I don't know that I'm freezing cold. My body doesn't tell me that I'm freezing cold. But when the tips of my fingers start to go numb, I know that I have to go inside. And I hate gloves, by the way. I can't wear them. And that's a sensory issue. I can't wear gloves and I can't wear shoes. I have socks on right now, and it's kind of killing the inside, but they're nice and soft on the inside. It's why I was the barefoot medium. Who knew? So once you start accommodating for yourself and your nervous system relaxes, because all of those things are overstimulating to you, and your nervous system is on high alert if you're not doing these things. So you are literally in fight or flight all day long, your whole entire life if you're late diagnosed, and your body has never relaxed. So learning these skills will allow your body to relax. It will start to unclench. It's going to release some stuff. And this is why I highly recommend therapy to anybody that is going through late diagnosis, because you're going to go through the ringer. And if you don't have support, it's incredibly hard. And I did it without support for the first 2 years. And I will tell you, it was nightmarish. And then when I finally found a therapist that understands my brain and understands the kind of healing that I need, it changed everything and helped the process go a little bit faster. And I can help you with finding some of those tools. So accommodations, all of these things you can do for yourself without having a diagnosis, without even knowing what flavor of divergence you have. You can just go, yes, I resonate with the things that Emma's saying, and I'm just going to start doing some of these things, looking at my sensory sensitivities, accommodating for myself in my home environment, so at least when I get home, my body relaxes. And then you're going to start to feel a little bit better. And then you're going to try to find a therapist that works for you. I will tell you, I started by doing BetterHelp. And I will list that there are opinions about BetterHelp, but as an autistic individual that literally just needs somebody to sit there and listen to me vent, and I don't need any feedback in therapy, because I'll tell you, most therapists don't even really understand what I'm processing, because it's way more than most people can process. So I just need a sounding board. So for $300 a month, you can get pretty much get a session a week, and you can go to as many seminars as you want. So for my brain, that totally worked. For some people, the therapy is absolute crap. And if you think that, that's totally fine. This is just my opinion, and I'm sharing what helped for me. And when eventually I felt like that wasn't helping anymore, I went and I found an EMDR therapist in my. But if you can find one, do it. It opens things up that you never had access to before, and it will change your life. So just do the things. Do the things that accommodate you, and it will change your life. So that's my juicy tidbits for today. On Mondays, I sit down and I plan my life. And this is one of the things that I'm going to share with you too, about how to track your energy and how to make a schedule so you don't put yourself in situations that are not good for you. So we'll talk about that probably tomorrow or in the next couple of days after I have it all laid out and I can show you. But every Monday I sit down with planners, calendars, my schedule, my hormone chart, like all of it, just to see if there's any road bumps coming up. And I even check on my astrology if you're into that, so I can share with you that stuff too. But for now, I've got to go, and you have a lovely week, and just start thinking about how you can accommodate for yourself. How can you maybe adjust your life at home so you're not feeling so stressed out all the time, or so anxious, or so overwhelmed? Bye for now, wildlings. Have a great week.